Some of you during the breakouts heard Mahlon Mitchell, the president of the Professional Firefighters of Wisconsin. We'd like to welcome him back to the stage to talk to you and as the entire group. Here is one of those heroes of what happened up on the square. He stood with all of us. Now we're going to stand with him.
All right, I'm back. So now we can bring it out, right? Okay, so you've been sitting a long time, right? So this is what we're going to do. Those that can stand, I want you all to stand up right now. Stretch a little bit. Because in the fire service, we can't sit too long. We all have a little form of ADHD, I think. So put your left hand up, stretch that out a little bit. I guess that's if you're looking at me, that's my right, maybe. Left hand up, stretch that out a little bit. So what we're going to do now, who's been at the rallies down in Madison? Everybody? Tammy stole a little bit of my thunder, but we all know the saying, show me what democracy looks like. So you're going to put your right hand up, and you're going to scream that back at me loud as you can. When I say, show me what democracy looks like, you're going to say, but we're going to say it a lot louder and a lot stronger with our hands up because we're stretching. This is kind of an intermission here, okay? Show me what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. What's disgusting? Ah, gotcha. All right, we can sit down now. Good job. Give yourself a round of applause. Now we can get to it. At our state and across the nation, they have been showing us what hypocrisy looks like. We are seeing the communism of millionaires, the pornography of power. But I'm not going to get on that right now. But I'm going to tell you it's good to be back home here in Wisconsin. I've had the opportunity to go across the nation now and speak about our fight here in the state of Wisconsin. And when I go out of the state, I feel that I'm speaking not only for myself or my association, the Professional Firefighters of Wisconsin, but also for trade unionists, middle-class citizens, citizens that are going against this current administration outside of our state. So I want to make sure I'm doing that in the right way, in the correct way. So I hope I'm doing that. I've had the pleasure of going to LA, speaking at a rally with over 30,000 people. Chicago, Portland, Oregon, they don't call it Oregon, it's Oregon. Baltimore, DC 3 or 4 times. Cleveland, Charlotte, Milwaukee, of course. Next month I go to Pittsburgh, Detroit, and Springfield, and DC again to speak about what's happening right here in the state of Wisconsin. So everybody's watching. Everybody's watching. But I'm used to, like I said, I'm used to representing my firefighters here in the state, so when I go outside of our state, I want to make sure I'm representing all of you, what I can. And I want to do that in a great way. But I have a couple of quick stories. There are many stories that were here in the state that have inspired me, have made me want to be better, be a better person, represent the state of Wisconsin. But there's 2 that stick out of my mind right away. The first one, D.C. Martin Luther King has a memorial now in D.C. I think that deserves a round of applause. Well, the AFL-CIO had a symposium before the unveiling of that memorial. Now, I talked about this before, but the hurricane kind of got in the way of the unveiling, but the symposium still went on. So I was able to speak with Reverend Jesse Jackson, who we all know well. He's come here in Wisconsin. Congressman John Lewis, who walked with Martin Luther King. William H. Lucy. So there's been a lot of people, and I'm very privileged to be part of that. And of course, we all remember that Martin Luther King was not only for civil rights, but he was for workers' rights. Right? Matter of fact, when he died, when he was assassinated in 1968, he was looking out for the Memphis sanitation workers who said, I'm just a man, I'm a man. An injury to one is an injury to all. But my second thing I remember the most is I was invited to go speak at a press conference with Representative Congresswoman Tammy Baldwin, my international president, Harold Shadeberger, but I was invited by Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi to speak at a press conference about jobs, justice, and what's happening right here in Wisconsin. So I was like on the top of the world. I'm thinking like, wow, Nancy Pelosi and her staff invited me to come out and speak in D.C., along with my international union. So I'm happy. So I go down there, and like you see in the movies, where you always see the politicians and the important people stand in the kitchen before they go out and speak, because that's the safest place. Well, we were actually in the kitchen. And there were cameras in this room, there were people in this room, there were media from all over the world. It was on C-SPAN. So I said, wow, this is something. So we're standing in back of this kitchen. I'm sitting there with Congresswoman Baldwin, Congressman Miller, and they said, well, Congresswoman Pelosi will be coming soon, so when she comes in, she's going to walk through. She may not say hi. She's going to go into the conference room, and she'll be speaking first, and she will introduce everybody. So I'm on a high right now. I'm like, wow, this is really something special. So Congresswoman Pelosi comes in. She says hi to my international president, Harold Shadeberger. Hi to the international president of the sheet metal workers. Then she comes up to me and says, hello, Mahlon Mitchell. The story's not over yet. Hello, Mahlon Mitchell. I've heard a lot about you. It's nice to finally meet you. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I almost peed in my pants. So I stuttered a little bit. I said, hello, Congresswoman Pelosi. It's nice to meet you as well. So we go into the room, and we all follow behind her. And she spoke first, of course. Congressman Miller from California spoke second. Congresswoman Tammy Baldwin actually introduced me. But before all that happened, I'm standing in line with everybody else, and I'm looking over the shoulder of Congresswoman Pelosi, and she has written down my name, grammatically correct. It's got an M/A-Y-L-I-N-N. I said, she doesn't know me. Their staff wrote that down. But that's okay. I said, she still kind of knew who I was. But that was one of the greatest moments still of my life, to be able to speak for you in the state of Wisconsin and D.C. So thank you for allowing me to do that. But now let's get back to work. So why am I here? Why are we here? So now we're going to go on a roller coaster, because I kind of speak fast, but you kind of listen slow. So I kind of go on a roller coaster. So why are we here? Because they are trying to eliminate our voice. They are trying to discredit us. They are trying to desensitize us, and they are trying to defund us. And we cannot let that happen. Let's go back to February. Remember back in February, we were all marching. It was cold outside. I had my suit on. I had a red tie, and we were marching with the bagpipes. I didn't bring the bagpipes here tonight, but they were there last night. Let's get the bagpipers a round of applause, please, because they really. But they told us in February that we have a $3.6 billion deficit. $3.6 billion deficit. Our state is broke. We need shared sacrifice. That's what they told us. But what did they say in January before all this happened? Corporate tax loopholes for the wealthy. Our state is broke. We have the model now that we are open for business. Anybody that comes in from Illinois, Minnesota, Iowa, 2 years, no tax paid back to the state, but our state is broke. 1%, the top 1% wealthy of the state of Wisconsin. Tax breaks, Las Vegas loophole, but our state is broke. They told us that it was going to cost $7.5 million to clean the Capitol after all the protesters because of the painter's tape that apparently, I didn't know, chips off marble. It doesn't do it to drywall, but marble, yes. $7.5 million, but our state is broke. So we said, you said, the people of Wisconsin said, so simply, come on, man. We're not believing it. This is an attack. This is a direct attack on the middle class, and we talked about it before. This is a direct attack on our way of life. Shared sacrifice. Then we heard that. Everybody's got to have shared sacrifice. I look at it as they share the wealth, we sacrifice. But we got to have shared sacrifice. So right now, and the big budget comes next in June. If you're trying to raise your kids from day to day, it's going to get harder for you. It's going to get harder for you already. There's a provision in our budget that reduces income tax credits for poor families with 2 or more children by $65 million over the next 2 years. $800 million, actually it's almost $1 billion when you add the school vouchers in, taken from education. Our teachers, they're the problem. $800 million, almost $1 billion taken from education. The very core of our existence, education taken away from. 12,000 uninsured women that used to go to Planned Parenthood, not for abortions, but just for basic health care, all that taken away. Wait. Shared sacrifice. Our state is broke. 30% cuts to tech colleges. Whoa. Our state is broke. Our child labor law weakened. Our children. If you're under the age of 18 years old, you can work more hours and more days of the week. But our state is broke. Bringing us back to 1961. The private school voucher program. Our state is broke. Shared sacrifice. State workers, teachers, nurses, janitors, people that work at UW, in the kitchen, they need to sacrifice. Shared sacrifice. They have to pay 5.8% into their pension and 12.6% in their health care because our state is broke. And I can keep going on and on and on. But our Legislative Fiscal Bureau right here in the state of Wisconsin calculated that the loss of revenue to state government over the next 10 years totals $2.3 billion from the massive tax cuts for corporations and wealthy investors. But our state is broke. Well, I hate to curse, and I hope that there's no kids here, but I call bullshit. And we have to call bullshit on that. And a revolution is not always PG, so I apologize. So when administration came to us, and they said, firefighters, police officers, you can sit out on an island by yourself. We will take care of you because we're going to treat you differently than everybody else because we don't think you're like AFSCME. We don't think you're like SCIU. We don't believe that you're like the teachers. You're not trying to take money away from the state. Well, I'm going to bring you back to a little time history. The rise of the Nazi regime and the unrise of the German intellectuals to not stand up and fight. This is what we were thinking as firefighters and police officers in our state. There's a little statement, I'm sure many of you know it because a lot of you are teachers and I know you're a lot smarter than I am. First they came. First they came for the communists, and I did not stand up because I was not a communist. Then they came for the socialists, and I did not stand up because I was not a socialist. Then they came for the Jews, and I did not stand up because I was not a Jew. Then they came for the trade unionists, and I did not stand up because I was not a trade unionist. But then they came for me. And then there was nobody left to stand up for me. So when the administration came to us and said, you guys sit out, you guys don't have to worry about it, we'll take care of you, we not only said no, but we said hell no. We're not going to sit back and let everybody else treat us so differently. And that's why we stood up. Because we know that there are strength in numbers. You don't have to stand up right now. I already had you stand up. Let's keep going. We know that there are strength in numbers. We know that we have to work together. We have to be united. This no longer feels like the United States of America, but it feels like the United Corporations of America. And we understand that. At what time did nurses, teachers, firefighters, police officers, janitors become the problem? Let's talk about the real problem. Deregulation of banking, Wall Street, but they don't talk about that in D.C. They don't talk about that here. At what time do we transcend from calling the rich and wealthy, which is fine to be rich and wealthy, but what time do we start calling them job creators? Back in the 18th century, we called them robber barons. Huh? You didn't think I knew that, did you? I read. I can read. I went to school. This is a little side letter. I'm sorry, I'm getting off. Ed, I'll finish here quickly. I'm sorry. But I actually went to the same high school as Governor Walker. I went to Delavan and Darien High. He's 10 years older than I am, but obviously we took different classes. But anyway, back to what we're talking about. What does your union provide? What does the union provide in the state of Wisconsin? One of the greatest strengths of the United States, is that we have developed and sustained a strong middle class, the best middle class in the nation. So this is not just about unions. This is about the middle class. But the last best defenders of the middle class, you know who those people are? I can't hear you. Say it louder. Damn right. Why were unions formed? They were formed for those who work hard, who go to work every day, don't ask to be inherently wealthy or rich, but they can benefit from their work. And so that individuals can provide for their families and create better opportunities for their children. Unions help to preserve a balance of power in this country, ensuring that corporate interests and bottom line don't trump our American values. Bob LaFollette knew this, and that's why I'm here today. Bob LaFollette knew what we were going to run into. Now they say, Mr. Garvey, that we're preaching to the choir. I told somebody that I'm coming here to speak, and they say, well, you're kind of preaching to the choir. And I looked at your website, and they obviously got it from there, because you said the same thing, that a lot of people say we're preaching to the choir. But if I'm the preacher, you're the choir, I look at the state of Wisconsin as a church. So you got to go sing to them, because they need to know. We need to be woken up. Well, now I'm going to end with this. And I'm going to end with this. And I know I've passed probably my 10 minutes, but I'm getting fired up because I like the crowd. I'm back in Madison. I love it. Well, now it's truth time. It's fire and brimstone time. This is almost going to be like a rally kind of effect here. In 2010, I'm going to be honest with you, public sector unions were asleep. 39.5% of union members, 39.5% of our union members in the state of Wisconsin voted for Governor Walker. You can boo him if you want, but you need to look in the mirror. It's our fault. 39.5% voted for this administration. So we can say it's his fault, but no. It's our fault. It's our fault. Imagine that. So when I talk to my firefighters and I talk to people across the state, you know what they say when you tell them that, hey, we voted for this? Well, they say, well, I didn't know he would actually do all this. I didn't think that he would actually do what he said he was going to do. We just thought he was going to change some of the mediation arbitration law. I'm getting too deep here, but what I'm saying is we have to be educated. We have to be educated on our issues. We have to get off our dead ass, so to speak, and work, because right now it's time. It is time for us to stop believing the senseless rhetoric about shared sacrifice and the state is broke and work hard for what our leaders have fought for in the past. It is time for us to stop servicing our members and start educating, organizing, and immobilizing our members. It is time to make sure our members are not just voting for the status quo, gays, guns, and God, because that's what we voted for before. We don't want gay marriage. Who cares? We don't want abortions, but don't get one. You know? And we want to keep our guns. Well, nobody's taking our guns away from you. We want our Second Amendment rights. Who gives a shit? Keep it. I never remember a Democrat saying you got to get rid of your guns. We have to. I'm sorry for cursing, but I am a firefighter by trade. I'm sorry. But it's time for us to start voting for our issues that directly affect our pockets and our careers. If our families don't look like ours, who cares? It's a family. We're all family. It's time for us to start. It is time, and I'm not done yet. Stop clapping because I only got 2 minutes. It is time to hold all politicians accountable, Republicans as well as Democrats. And I'm sorry, Tammy, but we got to hold you accountable as well. state and federal legislators, but we cannot stop after we get them elected. And I'm not just talking about state and legislators. I'm talking about our city aldermen, our local aldermen, as well as the President of the United States. He has to be held accountable too. Everybody does, at every level. It is time for us to continue the Wisconsin uprising because we have arisen, but we should never have fallen asleep. We should never have been down. We should have always been arisen. But now it's time for us to stand up and never give up or never give in. It is time for us to get back into our communities and actually be involved and know people in our communities, not just use the lip service, but we got to know blacks, whites, Asians, Jews, Gentiles, Protestants, Catholics, everybody, because we have to be part of our communities. Because until we build the coalitions of community, faith, and unions, we have nothing, because that's why we are where we are, because we are not where we should be. We have to make sure that we are there. We have to be everybody in this fight. Everybody has to be in this fight. It is time for us to galvanize our young members and get them involved. If we cannot get them involved now, we never will. It is then and only then that we can say that we are Wisconsin and that we are one. Because right now we are down, but we are not out. We did not start this fight. But if it's a fight they want, it's a fight they're going to get. And I told them knuckle up. But we have to be ready, armed, and equipped for this battle because this is about our lives, this is about our future and our children's, and we have to bring everything to the game. Like they used to say back in the old days, money, marbles, and chalk. Everything it takes to prevail, and we will win because this is about justice, this is about history, and I guarantee you when we are done, we will be on the right side of justice, and we will be on the right side of history. Solidarity, brothers and sisters.